Alright guys, let's jump right into it and start with the most typical mistakes. First of all, pushing way too tight, especially from later positions. And if one of you guys, especially the German community, followed me on my performances and EPT streams where I'm commentating for the German community, and there are also people asking a lot, what are the biggest mistakes from beginners? I'm always saying, yeah, they're just too tight as a short stake. When you're getting shorter, especially since antis are involved, we can jam very, very loose. I'm going to show you spots later, which I'm analyzing with the help of the Hodem resource calculator, which is a really, really good tool. And there I'm going to show you in which spots we should jam extremely loose and against which kind of opponents. Pushing too loose, now it's a bit contradictory in a, but pushing too loose with 15 big blinds and more. Yes, it is totally reasonable to jam with 15 big blinds and more, or even 20 big blinds. It makes a lot of sense with a few hands, don't get me wrong. But from my personal point of view, people choose the wrong hands. They're taking too marginal spots. Remember, especially tournaments, yeah, they are the most softest variant, the most softest format in poker. So generally speaking, you want to avoid marginal spots. In fact, when taking marginal spots, you shouldn't risk your entire tournament life. If a spot is marginal and you are limping or you're min raising, I mean, this mistake is not so bad because if you're wrong, it's not so costly. You're not risking your entire tournament life. But when jamming and it's a marginal spot, you're just gambling. Calling too tight blind versus blind, especially against good opponents, against fish, and this is something I will come to or I will talk about later, especially against recreational players. We want to call tight, but against good opponents, against regulars, we should call fairly loose. How loose, I want to show you later. We will do that based on the ranges. There will show you what I think from my experience call in general and how our ranges should look like in reality. Not recognizing any two spots from this small blind, especially against recreational player. They have no idea what hands to call with 9 or 8 big blinds. In general, if you analyze ranges with the help of the Hodem resource calculator, you will see that a recreational player, he's supposed to call around 40 or 50% of his hands. And this is just fantasy. I have rarely seen a recreational player calling so loose, especially when you reach later stages of a tournament. They get more scared, more afraid, scared money. We can take advantage of it and jam fairly loose, if not any two. Literally, folding 3 deuce offsuited in certain spots against a recreational player is burning money. It's like opening the window and throwing the money out of the window. And odds calling with less than 10 big blinds. Also, I prepared a spot for this situation where I'm going to show you even against 7-8 big blind jams from cutoff hijack, you should call fairly loose. Even though our opponent might not jam super loose, we have to call fairly loose. Fairly loose is very, very relative. If you're one of the guys who called it off with 8-9 suited, Jack-7 suited, okay, that's a bit too loose. I see people folding hands like Ace-2 suited against 7 big blind jams, pocket deuces, Jack-10 suited against 8-9 big blind jams, which is just not possible against certain positions. So this is just a general overview of the most biggest leaks and biggest mistakes. There are still a few others, but those are the most costly and you definitely want to avoid them.